Welcome back. Canada might be benefiting from a lower tariff rate due to its trade pact with the U.S. But the number of Canadian businesses that depend on American demand falling 2.9% from January 2024 to December 2025. This is according to Stats Can. The sectors most impacted were mining, oil and gas, extraction, and manufacturing. So why is this happening, and what will this impact mean for the American and Canadian economies? Let's ask Michael Charbon with the Charbon Report. Great to have you back here there, sir. Let's start there. What do you take away from that data?
Well, annually, Canada and U.S. trade is about $733 billion, John. That's about $3.6 billion a day. When President Trump levied economic threats on Canada of 25, 35, even 100% tariffs, Prime Minister Carney's objectives changed. In 2024, 75% of what Canada produced was sold to the States. Of that 75%, 85 was covered under CUSMA, but 75% of all your stuff sold to one person, that's dependency. So Carney's mission was to diversify trade and eliminate dependency through negotiations. He's done 27 international trade deals, replacing some $11 billion in sales with no U.S. tariffs. That's a 17% growth of non-U.S. market destinations. He used what's called strategic leveraged economics. That's how Carney prepares for the CUSMA negotiations, and that's what he's doing currently to put Canada in a better position, John.
Well, clearly something needs to change in Canada. The economy, many people are upset with how things are going. So the Prime Minister, they're trying to do something. One area, though, that really needs some work is the oil industry. I mean, clearly they get a lot of money from it. In fact, I got a chance to catch up with the Premier of Alberta. That is where all the oil comes from. Danielle Smith, she was in Houston at the energy conference they call it the Davos of energy. Here's what she had to say about the deal between Canada and the U.S. Watch.
I've seen upwards of 2.85 million barrels per day of proposals for pipeline egress. But are you going to order your pipeline today if you think maybe a year from now the tariff rate might be a little bit different? And so if we can resolve some of the issues that we're seeing around the tariff discussion, Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, then I think we'd be able to move faster on being able to get those pipelines built.
Pipelines built. That's the big problem that's been for decades in the making in Canada. The one thing that she also raised, I asked about this China-Canada deal. President Trump doesn't like it. He says China's going to be taking over Canada soon. But she said, you know, if they want to buy the canola, they want to buy some of our beef, that's fine. But we're not allowing them to set up AI companies in Canada. What are you hearing on that front?
John, the canola farmers in Canada were in desperate situations. Carney did a deal worth $3 billion with the Chinese. He saved them. On your point with regards to oil, we were doing about 330,000 barrels of oil going to BC every day. With the Trans Mountain Pipeline, that's gone 3 times up, almost 900,000, 890,000. What's a couple of barrels between friends? You know who one of the greatest clients are now? It's China. So what Canada has done is immobilize what it's got. I mean, they did a $3 billion sale to Japan. Japan now is basically Canada's #1 softwood lumber sales. And they have a better price that they pay in minimal tariffs, whereas the United States was charging 35%. Carney realizes he has to diversify. He realizes he's got to go into the CUSMA negotiations in July with the Trump administration with some cards in his hand. And I got to tell you, I loved your interview with Danielle Smith. That was great seeing you at the the Super Bowl of energy meetings, John. That was very good.
It was. In fact, I asked her about the separative movement there in Alberta. She has been criticized that she's pushing it, but she doubled down and said, no, I'm not. I have to put these things on the books. If enough people vote for them, we have to have a vote on it. So she's not in support of separating from the rest of Canada. The other point, too, I asked her about the Keystone XL. Could that be revived? You know, it got killed under Biden. Trump says, well, I'm willing to waive regulations and bring it back. But she says that probably is not going to happen. A lot of those Alberta companies are no longer interested, and it also cost them province millions of dollars. Michael Charbon, I got to leave it there, but great to see you. Thank you for coming back, man.
Thanks, John.
Second hour, Sunday Report starts right now.